9 FM.
Good morning. It's Friday. It's Rochester today. I'm Andy Brownell, News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM. And I'm happy to be joined for the program today by Patrick Seeb with Destination Medical Center here in Rochester, our monthly update on everything happening with the DMC. Good morning, Patrick.
Good morning. I don't think we'll cover everything happening with DMC. We'll scratch the surface on current topics for sure.
All right. Well, that's fantastic. Well, I guess to start with, the city council earlier in the week took action on a DMC-related issue, probably a pretty important issue as far as the advancement of Mayo Clinic's bold, forward, unbound initiative. And from what I'm hearing out there, Patrick, there's a bit of confusion about what it actually means. And what I'm talking about is the resolution that allows for the vacation of right-of-ways and alleyways in the downtown area. Maybe you could explain what this is all about.
Sure. Great question. And understandably, lots of confusion perhaps or misunderstanding associated with this project. Bold Forward Unbound, this extraordinary expansion of and really transformation of Mayo's services in Rochester involves this development that requires the term vacation, that is to remove a street from the city's street grid, that had to come before and did come before City Council this week, and City Council took action to adopt that resolution to vacate the streets, that is to say remove the streets from the street grid and allow Mayo Clinic and its construction plan to build over that, which means under most streets in any city, in Rochester, there are utilities, and those utilities like sewer and sanitation and water, et cetera, that have to get relocated because they're no longer that's no longer the city public right of way. In addition to Mayo Clinic, St. John's and Calvary Baptist were co-applicants for this street vacation, as their properties are affected as well. So
Sure.
Together, Mayo Clinic and St. John's and Calgary advanced this request to change the sort of network of how cars and pedestrians move about the area. So I gave you a complicated answer, I'm afraid.
Yeah. And there was, I guess the rumor mill was that somehow this meant that those two churches were going to disappear from the landscape, and that's not the case.
No, not at all. Not at all. Those are really important institutions in Rochester. They have a long history of relationship to Mayo Clinic. In fact, Calgary has been there longer than Mayo Clinic has been, and they have a long relationship together, and they will continue that very meaningful relationship going forward. There's a school associated with St. John's as well. I think 200 students in that school. Through this, I think, redesign and the work we're going to be doing, we're going to be creating an even safer neighborhood environment in terms of safer, meaning less car-centric neighborhood right around that school. So I think that's going to be quite nice as well.
It is going to be very interesting to watch this transformation take place. That's an understatement, to say the least.
Well, I think it is, and it is sort of the idea that we get to live through this and be a part of it and shape it. And I say we, I mean you, our organization, your listeners. I mean, we all have an opportunity to participate in this significant transformation that is so important for the future of healthcare.
Well, the other thing happening right now downtown that I've seen a lot of activity right at the Peace Plaza. Some work is being done to address some of the issues with the pavers. Maybe you can update us on that.
Yeah, so we know that the First Avenue and Peace Plaza, heart of the city area, has worked well for many people. We've had lots of events and lots of activities, and it remains a central gathering place in Rochester. There is some of the experience for some people is not as welcoming and as inclusive as we intended or wanted it to be. And so a first step in that process is to reset some of the pavers that have shifted. And that's getting done now yet this fall, so that hopefully you'll have a better, smoother experience over the winter. And of course, there is the snowmelt system built into all of the walkways, which readily clean the snow and keep the walkways clear and accessible. Long term, we're looking at ways to further sort of enhance the experience of navigating, getting through the Peace Plaza area for people who aren't there to experience or participate in the public art associated with it, but just simply moving through it. We want to create a better experience, and we're working on that.
Is that something we might see take place next year?
Yeah, so we are doing this resetting of the pavers now, but in the spring, I expect we will come back with a more permanent resolution for that. I don't know what that exactly will look like in terms of what the engineering will be, but I expect we'll come back with a more permanent resolution to that.
All right. Well, I'm sure a lot of folks are looking forward to finding out what that solution might be.
Well, including both you and I.
There certainly has been a great deal of discussion about that in the community.
Yes, there has been.
With people with mobility issues running into problems.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And it's a high traffic area. It's it's the heart of the city. And so we do need to get it right, and we're working on it.
All right. I'm sure we'll talk about that more as we approach next spring. I look forward to that.
Absolutely.
One other thing, I know that your Economic Development Agency board met this week, and the DMCC board meets shortly after the Thanksgiving break.
Yeah.
Any developments we could talk about that will be coming up at the DMC meeting in December?
Yeah, so one of the, yes, absolutely. We are going to be, one of the items that the DMCC board will be discussing is a recommendation that we're making around 3 historic properties in downtown. So if you recall, the city of Rochester established a historic district of 25 or 30 buildings in the downtown that collectively, those buildings collectively combine to make what the city determined to be a historic district. They contribute collectively to this historic district. And the DMC board said, we believe in that experience that is being created with the historic district, and we think of it as important infrastructure for the experience we're trying to create for people who live here and people who visit here. And we want to support property owners who are going to be investing in stabilizing, adaptive reuse, code compliance, things to upgrade their buildings, to preserve them and activate them and make them successful for the next 100 years. So we've had, we approved one such project a few months ago, and we now have 3 projects that are coming forward that we're going to be recommending that the board advance. These are for things like roof replacement, things that will stabilize and protect the building for the future. And now property owners have to put their own money into it. DMC will support it. And another one that I'm excited about is what we call adaptive reuse. And it's the idea of turning a second floor space now vacant into housing so that it can start to be used, income producing, and create housing option for somebody. So yeah, we're excited about that, and we expect that to be discussed at December 5th DMCC.
And I imagine if the DMCC board approves, then it goes to the city council for final approval?
It does. And, there's this whole idea, Andy, as we talked a moment ago about Bowl Forward Unbound and the transformation that's occurring. At the same time, this idea of preserving and enhancing and stabilizing the historic fabric is also very important. So it's, how do we grow the city while protecting and preserving and embellishing its historic character? And I will just tell you, those people who own these properties, by and large, they put their heart and soul into it. They love it. They probably didn't buy it because they thought they were going to make a lot of money. It's like when you perhaps buy an old house that you love in a neighborhood you love, and you realize it's pretty expensive to maintain, and so important to the community have that kind of historic district in our city, and we want to support those property owners in protecting, enhancing, and reusing those spaces.
Yeah, you have to have a passion for that to take on that kind of mission.
You really do. You really do.
Earlier when we talked about the Peace Plaza and you mentioned the art installations there, we have new art installations downtown that came with Discovery Walk. And I know there was a recent event that was aimed at the artists that were involved in that.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So Discovery Walk, which is that linear parkway, the parkway that connects Soldiers Field to the downtown, at the Gonda Mayo building. So what is known at what is Second Avenue, but we're referring to as Discovery Walk. We recently completed that work. We involved in the process public artists to help create special characteristics and special experience. A month ago, Sophia Chai, who developed the light poles, the light standards that run along that, we did an event to recognize that incredible work. And then this past a couple of weeks, we introduced Ayub Haji Omar, who did the poetry that finds its way on the park benches along the corridor. And this is really quite lovely, very accessible poetry, I would say. It's almost Dr. Seuss-like in its simplicity and its joy. These poems are built into the benches, and they're backlit, so they're lighted, and they're and now as we enter the season of the dark period of where we have more nighttime than we have daytime. The lighting installation, both Sophia's and Ayub's poetry, which are backlit, really create a very special sense and feeling, and contributes to the safety of walking about the downtown as well. So I'd encourage people, as it starts getting dark around 4:30 or so, pretty easy to sneak downtown, take a look at it, maybe grab a pizza or a cocktail at one of the restaurants downtown, and just enjoy the experience of what's being created in downtown.
Yeah, you certainly don't have to stay up late now
You don't have to stay up late. You don't have to stay up late. So
to enjoy the ambience of it. Yeah. I imagine
right.
people leaving work downtown will be able to enjoy the ambience.
Absolutely.
Oh,
absolutely.
My goodness. Yeah. The seasons change so fast. Well, speaking of the seasons, there are some exciting things that are going to be happening during the season of darkness, as you more or less called it.
Yeah, I didn't mean to. I don't want to call it season of darkness. It's just more nighttime than daytime.
Okay, but to help spread the cheer. I mean, we're entering the holiday seasons, and I don't know if DMC is directly involved in this, but there's going to be a festive parade for the first time downtown. Yeah, there is, and I give credit to the organizers. We have not been involved at all, but we've certainly been supportive and encouraging. But hats off to the folks leading that effort, and it's going to be another new way of experiencing the downtown, perhaps creating a new tradition that begins this year that we might someday be looking back and say, remember when that began? So I understand it's going to be somewhat similar to the Holodazzle that they've done up in the Twin Cities with, lights and the whole works. It'll be a neat addition. Yes, it will be. It'll be a great addition, and that's just a good example of those things that can start small and they build over time. And as community support grows, it is suddenly something you point to and say just how important it is to It's like Thursdays on First or Thursdays downtown during the summer. Imagine Rochester without that. I can't, and because it's become such a favorite tradition. So hoping this activity will be received in the same way. Well, you folks at the DMC, the organization there, this is must be an exciting period, but and also a challenging period, because these coming months, as we head through this winter, your folks working with Mayo Clinic and the city of Rochester you have a ton of work to do as far as preparing for what's coming in beginning next year with real construction.
Yeah, there is a lot of work, but I will just say this, Andy, we're starting in a good place. That is to say, people are working together. They want this to succeed, acknowledging that there will be bumps along the way, that we need to prepare ourselves for some challenges. But the starting point is people are in agreement that we want to advance this and be successful in doing so. And that's always a good place. There's great leadership at the City of Rochester, the staff team at the City of Rochester, of course, the staff team at Mayo Clinic, and the community members who are raising their hand and saying, hey, have you thought about this? Or make sure you pay attention to my neighborhood, or make sure we don't lose access to a business. And those are all important parts of the conversation, because collectively we will be much more successful when everybody feels able to participate and welcomed to be at the table and to raise their hand and suggest ideas or express concern.
If folks listening take that to heart, how would they, other than go to the city council meeting avenue, but if they have suggestions, how do they communicate those?
Yeah, well, I think that's always a challenge in that. So I would just say they should feel free to reach out to us at DMC, and we are happy to triage and point people in a direction that might be be a better place if we're not able to provide that direction.
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough. Well, Patrick, you enjoy the Thanksgiving holidays, and I know you'll be busy, but I hope you get a little time to relax and enjoy the holiday and the upcoming season here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Best wishes to you. Bye-bye.
All right. Patrick Seeb with the Destination Medical Center on Rochester Today. It's News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.